Hey, bud, I appreciate you coming on the show tonight, man. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for inviting me. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing good, man. Had a great workout today. Did you get to work out today?
No, I took a rest day today.
Did you?
It was nice. Nice to take
Yeah.
a day off. Still did my cardio at home, but
Oh, you
took
did?
a rest day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. How did you end up getting into bodybuilding? I mean, were you a skinny kid that wanted to get big, or kind of a heftier kid, or how did you even get into bodybuilding?
I would say I was in the middle. I wasn't skinny, but I wasn't hefty. Um, so let's see. This is probably the sixth grade when we started lifting for athletics.
Yeah.
Me and my brother. My brother was really skinny and tall, step brother,
Okay.
and so he's like, "Oh, I need to gain weight for sports." And I'm like, okay, how about we both gain weight? So started looking into things. And I remember one Christmas, I'm like, hey, will you guys order me this giant stack of supplements from this one website? I'm like, it's probably not a good idea. You're young. But anyways, as soon as I could start going to the local gym, I started going to the local gym even after athletics and lifting. And then I probably would have been heavier and had more muscle mass coming out of or high school, but I wrestled for 3 years. We got wrestling my sophomore year, and I
Yeah.
wrestled at 152, and all the other brackets above that were full. So I couldn't really make my weight move throughout those 3 years.
Wow.
So right after high school, I jumped straight up to 200 pounds. I gained the freshman 40. And
Well, your body was probably just dying to get that big, though. I mean, I
well,
can't
I
even
mean,
imagine keeping myself down at 150.
I cut. So yeah, when I was down at 150, I know we did our body fat for with the calipers. The guy came in
Yeah,
with the calipers for before we did one of our matches because I think it was state law he had to measure that. And I was at 6% before one of my matches. I'm like, huh, okay. And
wow.
anyways, so that first 40 pounds I gained, there's a lot of fat on it.
Yeah,
And then I cut that back down. And then every year after that, up to 200, and I'd max like 210 weight. And I cut back down, and I gained a couple pounds, and a slow process.
yeah. But
And my dad, when he was in high school, he lifted weights and he set a lot of weight records at my
okay.
high school. But right after he graduated, he broke his neck, so he
Oh,
wasn't ever into weightlifting again. Like,
yeah,
man, I want to lift that much weight. I still don't think I can.
yeah. Now, does your family support what you're doing for the bodybuilding?
They don't like when I'm in prep, I can't eat because my grandma's always like, "Oh, you need to get some meat on those bones." She's like,
Yeah.
"I just hate how your kneecaps look when you're in prep."
Okay, that's all right. Grandmas can say that.
Yeah, they can.
Grandmas
I'm
can say
like,
that.
man, I just want to eat your food, but I can't.
Yeah. I mean that's a tough thing, and when everybody around you is eating whatever, and you have to eat chicken and rice, some green beans or
Mm.
whatever, that's a hard thing to do. You know, it sounds like you've had the drive to make yourself be able to do that and not let it affect you.
At first, it would affect me a little bit. I'm like, man, we're going to say Easter dinner. I'm like, I'm just not going to bring any food and I'm not going to eat any food. That's what I'm going to do. This the first time when I was on prep. And they're kind of like, why are you doing that? And then, so I was a little bit, I guess, shy about it. I was scared of what they were going to say. And finally, I just embraced it. I'm like, well, they're going to make fun of me no matter what I do.
Yeah,
So, in a good way.
in a good
They,
way.
uh, they don't really care, just as long as I'm happy.
Right. Yeah. Hey, I want to go back and let's talk a little bit about your season last year. You
Mm.
sent me some pics that I'm going to put on for the Dallas Europa, and man, I thought
Yes.
you looked great. But kind of walk us through some of your shows that you did last year, and where you placed, and
Okay. So I did two shows this last year. My first one was in Wichita, Kansas,
yeah,
and my other one was the Dallas Europa. So the first one leading up to it, I think I started prep in second week of January, and that show was in May, I believe. And I come in, I thought I looked great
Yeah.
for what I'd brought to the stage before.
Sure.
I filled out really good with what we were putting in my body the night before the show. And I got up there and I placed last place in my class. Yeah.
Last in your class. How many were in your class?
There was only 3 at that show. It was actually a pretty small show, but it was one of those where if you know the Classic's fixing to go up, or if you know that two people in front of Classic, so I think there was fitness and then bodybuilding was before Classic. If I wasn't pumping up during bodybuilding because how small the show was, I wasn't going to get pumped up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I had to move fast for that show.
That's right. It's a quick pump up, man.
Yeah.
Man. Now, was that your very first show ever?
No, that was my very first show ever. The year before was my very first show ever. Okay. The year before, I did the Johnny O. Jackson Classic in Fort Worth. Okay. That was a long prep. We started in January. Me and my girlfriend at the time, fiance now. Yeah. We did that prep together.
Oh,
and it started in January, and we didn't compete till the end of August. So it was a long time. We didn't plan on doing that show. We thought that we were going to do a show earlier. I think it's Battle of the Bodies, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think we were planning on doing that show, but we ended up extending it out. We changed coaches during the process. Yeah, and went ahead and did the one in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And towards the end of prep, I was just like, man, I don't know about this. I don't know if I really want to do this anymore. She'd done a show before in San Diego because that's where she's from, in Southern California. Yeah. And towards the end, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this, but I've already told everybody I'm doing the show, so might as well finish now. And
that's right.
Yeah, keep on path.
Yeah.
So, like the last 2 weeks, I finally realized, this wasn't actually. It's not that bad now. I'm 2 weeks out. Yeah. This is the final stretch. And then the day of the show, I'm like, man, I like this. I'm ready to do this again next year.
You already spent half the year prepping.
Oh, yeah. give me a little break before we go back at it.
Yeah. So how'd you do in that show, in the Johnny O show?
So the Johnny O show, I was in class B because they measured me at 5'8" that show, which was okay because I won my class. And then for open, what did I get? I think I got third in open, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember. Or, no, I got second in my open class. Sorry. Yeah. And so I didn't get to battle for overall. I've actually never battled for overall in a show yet.
You will. You'll get there. You got you got a great physique. So
I got second in first my class, second in open in the Johnny O. Jackson, and then moving back forward to that Wichita show, I just placed dead last out of 3 competitors in my class. I think there was some politics at play.
Well, let me ask you this now: looking at your body from the Johnny O. Mm-hmm. Then looking at the Wichita, in your mind, did you make improvements? Did you go backwards? I mean, what did you think about your body comparatively?
Oh, yeah, I made big improvements as far as putting on some muscle between shows. The biggest thing I noticed was when I was prepping for the Johnny O. Jackson, being in prep for so long, I didn't even have, to me, real visible abs until like 3 weeks out for the Johnny O. Jackson show.
Really?
For the Wichita show, I had visible abs like 3 months out. I'm like, oh, wow, that was a lot quicker this time.
Yeah.
So as far as posing got way better. My posing wasn't bad comparatively for a first time doing a show.
Yeah.
At the Johnny O. Jackson, but I improved on it a lot, which always helps everyone's physiques to get better at posing.
Everybody can be better at posing. All of us can get better. So when you did the Johnny O, and you knew you were going to start dieting, you knew Did you find somebody to teach you posing? Did you just watch it online, or how did you go about your posing?
So when I first decided to jump in prep, it was because my fiance she wanted to prep her show. I'm
Oh,
like, hey, I've never done a show. I want to do it with you. So we went through, I believe, up until June or May with this one coach that we're with. And kind of practice some posing. It took me forever to really get some good poses down because we weren't practicing that much. And then so I was like, okay, I'm going to hire a posing coach. So I reached out to somebody to figure out who I needed to find. And they're like, hey, this IFBB Pro, classic IFBB Pro, taught me and coached me. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just do posing with him. Well, I got on there and I'm like, first question I have for you, be honest with me. Do I look like I think it's 3 weeks out, 4 weeks out right now? He's like, you look like you're more like 12 weeks out. I'm like, oh, that's a problem. So I started evaluating things, kind of got a little excited because he's an IFBB Pro. And I'm like, hey,
sure.
what's your coaching services? But he taught me posing. I do sessions with him quite often. And he wanted me practicing regularly every single night.
Yeah.
And I usually did. I'd practice for like at least 15 minutes a night.
Yeah.
And it helped tremendously.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Posing, you've got to pose, you've got to practice, because when you step on stage, it's got to be automatic. You have to know where to go.
Mm-hmm.
I've known some people that they'll wait and start, like 2 weeks out and try to learn. You've got to, for me personally, I like to start as soon as I start prep. Then I
Yeah.
start all my posing again,
Mm-hmm.
because you've got to know your body. And plus, to me, it hardens your body. That's just my personal opinion, but
I agree.
yeah.
I agree with
Hey,
that.
who was your posing coach?
His name is Jesse Valencia. He was,
Okay.
we're pretty positive he was the first classic physique pro.
Okay. Wow.
That's what he was told by the judges when he won the show.
Wow. That's impressive.
Yeah,
Now,
he's a really good guy.
yeah.
I've since moved. I picked him up as my coach, and I've since moved on to a different coach, though.
Okay. So he was your first coach that you had?
No, my first coach was a local guy
Yeah.
here in the area.
Okay.
That was my coach, and then I switched to Jesse,
Jesse.
and now I've switched again.
Okay. Who's coaching now? Who's coaching?
So now I'm using Derek Natcher with Loud Performance Training.
Okay. Where are they out of?
So he's out of Florida.
Okay.
Most of the time, he has a house in Pittsburgh, and
Yeah.
I think he has a house one other place too. But mainly out of Florida.
Mainly out of Florida.
Yeah.
And what's the name of it again?
Loud Performance Training, so LOUD.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then you do the Johnny O. You go to Wichita.
Mm-hmm.
What was in your mind after you did the Wichita? What were you thinking? You killed it at the Johnny O. Then you come to Wichita out of 3 and not so well.
Right. So, which I'd had an off season between the Johnny O and the Wichita show.
Yeah.
And then a significantly shorter prep the next year, which a good amount of prep, not January to August.
Right.
For one show. But so when I jumped up there on stage, since there was only 3 people, I'm like, okay, so maybe they're not moving us around.
Right.
Maybe
Sure.
Maybe it doesn't matter. Then they're not going to place first place in the middle, which they ended up doing. When we went out to receive our medals, I expected second, at least second. And they said my name last. I'm like, oh, okay. So I kind of is a disappointment to me, just because I felt like I at least should have got second. But my fiance was disappointed the most. She was pretty upset. Watched me go through all the work that I went through, and sacrifices, and basically suffering through prep to get to where we were. And so she was pretty upset about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so after that, what was your mindset? Did you think, man, I'm just freaking done with this, or?
Once I got off the stage, I can't remember what time it was, but we're like, man, we should just drive back to Arkansas tonight. Drive back to Arkansas tonight and get ready to go to the Europa. Yeah. But I'm like, well, this place has a BJ's Brew House, so that's my number one place to go after a show.
After a show,
BJ's Brew House.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I went there, and we stayed, took check-in pictures, and my coach said, "Man, if you just would have looked like that, but not as holding that much water."
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah, I mean, that's not typical pump up food though. So.
Look, everybody looks better after after they compete, a few days after. I know this was right after, but a few days, because now you get all sodium, you get the fats, you get everything, and you just fill out. Everybody looks better after that,
Yeah.
But what was your mindset? I mean, did you just say, man, forget this crap, I'm done? Or you
Really,
just focused on freaking BJ's Brew House and that was it and getting back to Arkansas?
well, really, after that, so I was wanting to use that show as a warm-up show. I actually planned on doing 3 shows last year, but my sister got married during I think the Kuklo Classic.
Oh, yeah.
And I was planning on doing that too, but she was getting married, and I was going to the wedding no matter what over competing. So once I got off the stage, I was really like, okay, so what's our game plan? What do we have to do to get ready for the Europa? So that was my first thing. I wasn't really focused on food that much. I just wanted to improve going into the Europa.
Man, that's great. So from that show to the Europa, how far out was that?
I believe it was 3 weeks.
Oh, so you were still staying in prep. You weren't coming off. You were still going to stay in your prep.
I think it was 3 weeks. Don't quote me on that, but
that's all right. It was close enough to stay in prep.
Yes, by far.
Yeah.
I had a new mindset about it. It was this big second win, so I didn't feel like I was ever exhausted just because I had that drive behind me. I knew I was. I was exhausted, but it made me push harder to going into the Europa.
Yeah. And then, so you go, you get ready for the Europa. You go to the Europa, and how did all that play out?
Oh, that was awesome. So this is downtown Dallas. Finding downtown Dallas is always in traffic. It kind of always sucks.
Freaking Dallas,
because your GPS can't keep up with where your car's going. The speed limit is so fast, and there's exits every like 10th of a mile. It seems like.
Yeah, it's awful there, man. It's awful.
Yeah, and so we get there, and I think I wasn't really concerned about weigh-ins at that point because I knew I was underweight. I was more concerned about how are we going to get me pumped back up, get some food in me. So I got there and I'm like, man, they measured me 5'8" at the Johnny O. Jackson first time. They measured me 5'7" in Wichita, but they kind of disregarded my weight in Wichita. So I didn't really know going in there what class I was going to be in.
Oh man, that's brutal.
I weighed fine for Class A, so I was in Class A. I was like, oh man, the shorter guys, it's going to be good. It was okay though. But after that, I mean, we went. There's a sushi place right across the street.
Oh yeah.
And I think I ended up getting 6 rainbow rolls. Right after that.
Right after the show, or
right
after you checked in.
Right after check-ins.
Right after check-ins, you went and got sushi.
Yeah. So right after that, went and got sushi, and we were staying in an Airbnb. So really is go unpack all the stuff we brought with us because we self-tan, so we don't.
You do.
Yeah, it's so much more convenient. It seems like it's going to be a pain at first, but in reality, you don't have to go out of your way to go wake up, get to the spot you need to be at whatever time your time frame is for tanning.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about other people being around other than the person that's tanning. You can even tan yourself. It comes with the utensils to do that too if you wanted to.
What brand do you use to tan?
Protan.
Protan, yeah.
Yeah.
I like Protan. Protan's good.
And then if you go, so what I did, we didn't bring any. My fiance couldn't get backstage to glaze me, so I just went to the Protan ladies and they're like, hey, I use Protan. And they're like, oh, okay, so we can glaze you. Just because I use Protan.
Oh, because you use that's awesome. I didn't know they would do that for you.
I made sure to tell them, and they're like, yeah, you use Protan, so you can get glazed with it.
Oh, that's great.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Now, was your fiance prepping as well for this?
No.
She didn't prep for it?
Yeah, she was just supporting me the whole time.
Yeah.
And just watching and supporting. Anyway, so we get prejudging. The morning of prejudging, go there, and there is over 500 competitors in the show.
Cool.
And so they have a Bang Energy thing going on up front. That's all you can hear blasting throughout this convention center is this Bang Energy little place. And there's all sorts of booths set up. So, I'm like, man, after this, I want to go through all these booths, get all the free stuff.
That's
Little
right.
did I know there wasn't anything free except for a Bang Energy drink.
They weren't giving out samples?
No one was giving out samples. They're all like, oh, you can buy it. And I'm like, well, I'll buy the stuff I want.
Right.
But get backstage, and it was hours and hours until I went on. And I'm like, this is really nice compared to the last two shows, because the last two shows, I've not had any time whatsoever to pump up.
Yeah.
Or hardly get glazed. And now I have time to pump up, time to think about things, time to kick my legs up.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think I was backstage for like 4 hours before I ever even went on stage as a classic guy.
That's a big show.
Oh, it was. There was 17 in my class. I think the next class had 19 or 21.
Wow.
Something like that. Classic was huge.
Man. Now, you're doing a lot of Texas shows. Are you focusing on Texas? You just like it? You like the way they run better in Texas? Because have you done any in Arkansas?
I haven't done any in Arkansas. I have not done. So I've done Kansas and Texas. That's the only two states I've done.
Yeah.
I like Texas shows. Mainly is because my old coach, Jesse Valencia, was from Texas.
Oh, okay.
He's like, hey, come compete at the Johnny O. Jackson. We're like, okay. And after that, I'd never been to the Dallas area. I loved it down there. Every time we go, I love going down there, even though traffic sucks.
Yeah, traffic sucks, but the city's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm like, we'll keep coming down here and doing shows. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, there's a lot more competition, it seems to me, in the Texas shows than there are obviously here in Arkansas. That's just my opinion, but
Well, it's just because it's such a bigger state.
Yeah, it's a huge state.
I feel like it's more known just because you get in the city area, you have more people that know bodybuilding.
Sure. Now, so right now you finished up with the Europa, and what are your plans right now? What are you doing right now?
So right after, probably a month and a half after Europa, I ended up switching coaches to Loud Performance Training, Derek Natcher.
Oh, so you switched. Okay, all right.
Yes.
So you switched after that show.
Yeah.
Now,
so
let me ask you this, Tyler, if you don't mind, and you don't even have to answer it. I'm just kind of curious. What made you switch coaches? Was it your placing? To me, you got 8th out of 17. That's pretty good. That's a big show.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big show. What made you decide, hey, now it's time to switch coach?
It wasn't my placing. I got up there looking better than I'd ever looked before.
I thought you looked great. Those pictures you sent, your body, I thought you looked great, man. Everything was flowing really well. You probably could have been a little bit harder. But I thought you killed it. You look great.
And for classic, I was told that my legs were kind of overtaking my physique too. So they'd have to come down a little bit. My arms needed to be bigger, lower back tighter, and my legs weren't they look like they're holding water coming in.
Yeah. Your legs, you could see needed to be harder. But let's go back to that just real quick. What you just said, they wanted your legs smaller, or they just wanted your upper body to come up.
Yes, they wanted my upper body to come up, but the problem is if my upper body came up and my legs stay the same size or get bigger, inevitably they're going to get bigger a little bit with them too. I'll weigh over my check-in weight unless we can manipulate water enough to get below.
Yeah.
Which I asked my coach, my current coach, I'm like, hey, are we going to make it? Are we going to make to the weight we need? And he said he can manipulate water quite a few pounds. So if we get down there and I can't get underneath the weight I need to for classic, I'll just have to go bodybuilding.
What's your weight that you got to be at?
I want to say 174.
174?
I think that's class A. Maybe 175.
That's the max?
Yes.
Is 174?
Yeah, 5'7" and below can be up to 174.
Yeah. So a month and a half after you decide to switch coaches,
Mhm.
and now what was the reason again on that?
So it wasn't placing. It was purely so my old coach, he was going through some personal issues in life.
Yeah.
He needed his own time.
Yeah.
He was taking a lot of care of a lot of people, not just with bodybuilding, through
Yeah.
his other uh, jobs, and so
Yeah.
he needed some time for himself. And I believe that I just I thought it was a good decision to
Time to go.
switch coaches.
Yeah. Then so you left. You get a coach. Y'all put a game plan together. When did you start your off season? Your prep last year?
So my off season for last year or this year?
Well, because you finished in 2019. Then a
Yes.
month and a half you switched coaches. So I'm
Right.
assuming
Okay.
sometime after that in 2019 you started a prep off season.
Yeah. So I did the worst thing you can do right after the Europa. I ate and ate and ate and did not
Hey,
stop eating.
let me ask you this: how long did it take you? Because I know you gained 30 pounds. I can
Yeah.
promise you gained 30 pounds. Easy.
35. Yeah.
You gained 35. How long did it
Yeah.
take you to put that 35 on?
So it took a week for me to put 25 on,
Yeah.
and then another week later I'd put another 10 on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
it
sir.
was.
Hey, it happens to everybody. We all
Well,
do
my
that.
my first show, I reversed almost perfectly.
You did? Yeah.
Almost, yeah. I enjoyed a few things, but after Europa, I mean, I wanted to eat. My body was telling me to eat,
Yeah.
and even when I wasn't hungry, my brain was just like, "Hey, eat that." I'm like, "Whoa, we
Now,
need to stop eating."
what'd you start? What'd you start eating? What were you eating when you came out?
So I can't even hardly remember. So right after in Texas, I can't really hardly remember what I ate. But the week after that, we flew out to California. And I mean, just In and Out was the very first thing I ate. And then, like 2 hours later, it was pizza and frozen yogurt. Then every 2 hours, I was eating like a massive amount of food.
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
So where we're at in California, the weather is really nice. So at nighttime, you can just open up the windows and the breeze just blows off the
Oh
ocean.
man.
And I was waking up in the middle of the night sweating, having to go take a shower,
Oh
and
God.
huffing and puffing everywhere I went. The airplane ride back was horrible. I was sweating the whole time, and they're blasting the AC too.
Oh man. I mean, but that happens. I mean, it just does. After every show, my wife makes me a big full pan of banana pudding, and I'll eat the whole thing. I'll just sit there and eat after the show and eat the whole thing. You know,
Yeah.
but but it does happen. So that's all right. So a month and a half after you change coaches, now you've kind of blew up a little bit, 35 pounds. You gained pretty quick.
Yeah.
And then when did you really start? Okay, I'm gonna get focused now. We're gonna start on our off season. And when did you
Uh,
start that?
well, so after I blew up a little bit with my old coach, he's like, okay, we need to make sure we're sticking to this diet. And I'm like, well, it's not exactly working. Um,
Uh,
to what I wanted to, and it got to
sure.
points where I wasn't cheating. I was following the milk. I was following the not necessarily reversed at that point, but following that
Yeah.
diet perfect. And I just wasn't losing the weight I wanted to. So when I got with Derek, I'm like, hey, here's my pictures. What can we do? And at that point, I think I weighed 217, which I've not even got back up to 217.
Yeah.
I'm not even weighed that much again. And he's like, actually, you're in a really good spot. Going back and looking at those photos now, I didn't look half that bad, but at the time I thought I looked
Right.
horrible. You know
Yeah.
how it
I
goes.
bet you can still see your abs. I bet you still had good abs too.
Uh,
They're probably watery, but I guarantee you still had them. They were
I
visible.
was a pretty good water buffalo.
Yeah. But that's all right. And so you got up to 217 from 174, you went up to 217.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good jump.
So what is it? It's a
Whatever that
little
is.
over 35. I
Yeah,
think it's a little over 35.
that's a good jump.
Yeah.
But then you got with your coach. You send him your picks. Now you're kind of bringing it down.
Hmm.
So where are you at right now?
So right now, this morning I was at 209.
Oh, okay.
Um, we brought the food down a little bit.
Yeah,
So I got up. I was sitting at like right at 212. That's what he got me back up to. We actually originally cut when I got with him, and I got down to 187, and then we brought food up, and I got back up
yeah,
to 212. And I sat at 212 for quite a while,
yeah,
and now we're gonna try to just cut a little bit of fat off of me that I've gained
yeah.
from all the food.
So what are your plans for 2020?
So right now, my plans for 2020 is I need to figure out if I'm doing 1, 2 warm up shows for a national show. Probably just one. And I need to figure out what show I'm gonna do. And the problem is with that, you're banking off getting nationally qualified again with that one show,
That's right.
which I have belief that I can. If
Yeah.
not, we're gonna have to find another show real quick. But I want to go to Chicago,
Oh, yeah.
and depending on how I place there, we will go to Las Vegas.
Wow. Now is that for 2020, or are you going to do a show and qualify and do nationals in 2021?
2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to compete this year at all.
Not competing in 2020 at all.
Nope.
So y'all are just going to do like an off season. You're going to bulk, put some mass back on,
Mm-hmm.
take it a little slow.
Yeah, he wants me to compete this year. I want to compete this year, but as everybody says, it's always a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right.
And I'm really taking some time off this year. I'm still sticking to a diet, pretty strict.
Yeah.
I still get a cheat meal every week, so
Yeah.
when I say pretty strict, I get that.
Yeah. For 209, you're a big 209. When I see you in the gym, you look pretty huge.
Yeah, I always hear that, but when I look at myself, I never think I look that big.
Well, it's
It's a
because you look at
typical
yourself every day.
bodybuilder.
You see yourself every day, though.
Yeah. So one of my biggest things was growing my arms.
Yeah.
So we started doing arms 3 times a week, and I hate doing arms. That's my least favorite workout, or body parts, is triceps and biceps.
Yeah.
And so
Now, Tyler, are you doing arms together, bis and tris together at the same time, or do you have them split out?
so it's at the same time, actually. So Mondays are my long days because I do chest and arms together.
Yeah.
And then we just changed it up a little bit because I'm taking 2 off days a week now instead of 1.
Yeah.
We changed it up to just an arm day on Wednesday, and then I have a shoulder and arm day on Saturday.
Wow.
So it's always tricep bicep together.
Yeah.
And I especially don't like working biceps.
Now, why do you say that? Why do you not like it?
I don't even have a really good excuse.
Most people love to do arms.
I don't have a good excuse at all. My main excuse is it burns too much, and that's the weirdest thing to say because we all enjoy the burn. I mean, we're out there looking for that all the time, and it's just an excruciating burn. I don't like it, but I still do it and still push through it. Feel accomplished after every one.
Is it a burn to where like the muscle burn, or is it like you feel like you're injuring yourself?
I feel like my tendons are going to rip off the bone.
Oh,
that type. That's
so
how
it's not like you just
got
it's not like a pump burn where the pump is burning.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's like
that's interesting.
It hurts. It hurts. Almost in a bad way.
Have you had that checked out?
Really, I think it falls back on me for not keeping up with stretching and any deep tissue work or anything of that sort. I just had Caroline work on me yesterday, actually.
Oh, you did?
And she hit my arms. I'm like, oh, that's the best they've felt in so long.
Man.
So really that falls on me this offseason. I'm not really taking care of myself in that sense. Last offseason, I was doing it all the time.
Now, in one of the comments that the judges made was bringing up your arms,
Mm-hmm.
So you know you've got to work on that, and you're working on that this off season. What else do you think you need to work on to bring up for next year?
I think my back. My back is. I thought it was lacking on stage. Now I don't know if it was because well, I mean, some of it was because it wasn't lean enough,
Yeah,
but I still need more thickness. I need to be thicker.
yeah. Hey, when you were doing your prep, I mean, how much cardio were you doing for the Europa?
So I was doing an hour of Stairmaster every morning, and then I was doing. I think we got up to 20 minutes a hit at nighttime.
That's not bad. I mean, that's good. But how was it when you and your fiance were prepping together? I mean, how did that work in your relationship? Was it easy? Was it hard? How'd that work out?
It wasn't easy. Um, Especially since it was my first prep. I didn't really know what to expect. She
Yeah,
prepped before, so she knew what to expect. But it wasn't that easy because you're both hungry, you're both doing cardio, you're both waking up real early. So that part wasn't bad because we'd still go to the gym together in the morning to do our cardio. But when it came to the kitchen, our diets weren't the same.
right.
So it's like, hey, I need to cook that right now. But hey, I need to cook that right now because I got to go to work first, or I got to go to work first today, type of thing.
Yeah, because y'all both have full-time jobs,
Correct. Yeah.
and you're both trying to prep. So and you're exactly right. When you're not prepping the same kind of foods and it's different, I could see where that could be a little stressful. It could add a little bit of
Yeah.
stress there.
Well, that also that first prep I did that same year I graduated college during prep, and I
Oh,
bought a house
wow.
during prep. So that added
Wow.
that last semester of college and buying a house. So that added a lot more stress for me. So I
Yeah.
still pulled through though.
You still pulled through. Hey, in that first show, you did great.
Yeah,
You know,
it all paid off.
yeah, it paid off. It's paid off.
Mhm.
So now, how often during the week do you do your prep your food?
So I don't do a big like weekend prep, Sunday prep. I'll usually do uh, once, twice, even 3 times a week if I need to.
Yeah.
Uh, I usually just crock pot my chicken
Yeah.
because there for a while I was eating a lot of chicken, and that's the easiest way to do it for me.
Yeah.
Unless I just want to cook it in skillets, but just for time's sake, I crock pot my chicken. And then rice, have a rice maker, so that's pretty
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
And any other food I would eat, like oats, that's simple.
That's simple.
Really, it's not that bad on my meal plan.
Yeah. Have you ever got to the point during your off-season prep where you would just sit there and not want to eat your food? You just kind of look at it, or do you have that kind of metabolism where you just shove it in and it just goes?
Well, I mean, I have had those times where I'm like, man, this is a lot of food on this plate, but it doesn't matter. I'll still eat it all, um, even if it takes me a little bit longer to eat it. As long as I can find some way to distract myself while I'm eating it, I don't even pay attention to
Yeah.
how full I get.
So, for me, I always put on like Rich Piana, where he's talking
Mm-hmm.
about shoving your food in. You just got to eat it because sometimes I don't want to eat it. I'll sit.
Mm-hmm.
It may take me 45 minutes to eat a plate of food, but I'm going to get it
Yeah,
in.
yeah.
What do people at work think about how you eat and things like that?
So my current job, I've been at it for 4 months at Walmart, and I asked my hiring manager the day I had my interview. I'm like, hey, is it okay if I bring some meals in here? I bodybuild. He's like, oh yeah, that's completely fine. So that's a good thing. That's
That's a positive.
I get to eat at work. Um, Most of the time since I crock pot my chicken, I do put some seasonings in there, but it's it's crock pot chicken.
Yeah.
It's not that great. They're always like, oh, it smells like dog food. But
Well, yeah, there it is.
or peanut butter and nuts are like, oh, that looks so nasty. But usually, there's always one person. Both jobs I've been at during my competition or during while I've been eating,
Yeah.
at least one person that's like, hey, I'm going to change my lifestyle now because of that. Like you do it all the time. I don't know how you can do that all the time.
Yeah.
But I'm going to change mine up a little bit too. See if I can't lose some weight.
Man, that's great. So you're already having a positive. You've only been there 4 months, and you're having a positive impact already.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Wow, Tyler, that's great because a lot of people can't eat. They don't want to force the food down.
That's the part that I guess blows my mind the most. I know quite a few people who bodybuild, and they won't finish their meals, or like, oh man, I don't want to eat that, or I'm skipping this meal, and I'm like, what do you mean? When in prep, you want that food, yes, but now you're in off season, you don't want to eat that food because you're so full already. But you want to get bigger, you need to eat.
And I was listening to a podcast today with some pros, and they're talking about a lot of people just kind of rely on the supplements or the gear, whatever you want to call it, and not make themselves eat. They just think that's what's going to do it for them. And and these people that I talk to, I try to stress to them, I don't care. Blend the food. I don't care. But you're going to blend it. You're going to drink it. You got to get it in. I sent, it was one night I went to bed. I had food up here in my throat. I couldn't sleep. The next day I text my coach and said, hey, I'm struggling eating. And there was zero sympathy. He's like, if you want to get big, you're going to eat the food.
Yeah, there's no sympathy. I can't even say the word right now. But most of the time in off season or even in prep, there's none of that because the coaches, a lot of times the coaches have been through it.
Right.
They know that you can do it too.
That's right.
You just haven't taken yourself there before, so you don't think you can do it. It's a mental block, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I just don't think the people, and I don't know if it's, I think, yes, I'm going to say it's a mental block, but I just think people rely on other things, instead of really forcing the food down. And I just can't grasp that because I don't care how long it takes me to eat a meal. I'm going to freaking eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and, what do you think about, because when we diet down, we have to suffer when we diet. Just like you're saying, like you're hungry right now, you're ready to eat. And when you're in prep, I'm always hungry in prep. I want to eat. And a lot of people just don't want to make themselves suffer because you do have to suffer if you're going to win, you're going to suffer. And I think you're right on the mental block. I think people can't do that. They just can't make themselves go beyond what they think they can.
Yes. And that's the importance of a coach right there, especially when you're in prep. Because if you're doing your own meal plan, you more than likely not going to take yourself to the spot that you need to be taken diet-wise because you just don't think that you can do it or need to do it.
That's exactly
And really,
right.
if you did do it, it's gonna be drastic results. Like I was at 12 carbs for over a month.
Holy smokes, 12 total?
Yeah. I thought I was going to lose my mind. I was so hungry
for
all
a
the
month?
time. And, yeah.
12 carbs a day.
Part of that was fiber supplement too.
Oh, yeah, you suffered.
Yeah.
Yeah. But see, I don't think a lot of the people couldn't even fathom doing that.
Yeah.
But then they want to be a pro though.
And it's like you need to do that in some circumstances. I mean, if you're genetically gifted where you don't have to do that,
right?
Good for you.
Oh yeah, good for you. So most of us, I'm talking about me, not you, Tyler, but don't have that. We have to make ourselves suffer to get to that point.
No, I agree. At first, when I first got to 12 carbs, I think that first week I was like, man, why do I have to do this? Why can't we be eating? I was looking at some other people's photos coming into the show.
Yeah.
Like, 200 carbs. I mean, 12 carbs a day. We're a month out.
For a month, man, that's wow.
Then I get to 2 weeks out. I'm like, man, I wish I had 2 more weeks on 12 carbs.
But you push through it. You push yourself mentally to get through that. But I think what you said a few seconds ago was dead on. I mean, the coach has got to recognize that and you can't make them do it because ultimately it's the athlete's choice to do it or not. But the coach has got to put it in their plan and say, hey, you're going to suffer and this is what we're going to do to get you there.
Yeah.
But What drew you to your current coach right now?
So mainly, in my personal opinion, he's not a pro. So I
Okay.
mean, you don't have to
It
be a
doesn't have to
pro
be a pro. It doesn't have to be a pro.
to be a good coach at all.
Right.
I think it's the feedback and the detail you get on your check-ins and how they're. I mean, that's what it's going to be like going through prep. That's what it's
Yeah.
going to be like going through off season. And this current coach, I mean, you can ask him one question about anything, and he's going to give you at least a paragraph back
Yeah.
on what he's researched, what the research is, and what he believes is best, and what he believes will be best for you. So really, just super descriptions
Yeah.
from check-ins like, hey, your check-ins this week versus this week. You not necessarily comparing them, just explaining what he thinks happened between your physique based upon your diet this week versus this week.
Yeah. Tyler, appreciate you being on here tonight, man. Just excited to see you grow in this off season, see what you do next year. Hopefully, get qualified in that first show to get to nationals. Man, thank you for being here, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me to be on the show. And if you ever are on the podcast, and if you ever want me to talk again, I'd be glad to.
Oh yeah, we want to keep you on because we definitely want to follow you through the off season and see, start comparing, look at you, see how you're
Mm-hmm.
doing. Hey, just real quick before we get off, how can people find you on social media?
So my Instagram is Classic T, and I'd have to look at it right now to know how to spell it. Because it's not classic as in CLASSIC. I think it's classic CLASICK, and
I
then
think you're exactly right.
underscore T, I believe, because I couldn't get classic T.
That's exactly right.
That's what it is right now.
That's exactly right. Okay. Any other social media that you're on? Other
Not
than
really.
Instagram?
I mean,
That's it?
yeah, just
Okay.
Instagram.
All right. Now, are you doing any coaching? Are you coaching people? Can people reach out to you to coach?
So if I ever do, it's not for competition. It's mainly lifestyle.
Lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
So if people reach out to you right now, you would take on clients to lifestyle?
Yes.
Okay. Great. That's great. Well, Tyler, hey, I appreciate it and look forward to having you back on as we get further in your off season. And man, have a great evening and appreciate you being here.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me be on. Have a good night.
Hey, have a good night.